Hello, Pat. Sorry, I should have fussed with this camera beforehand. It's funny, the lens is plenty clean for a phone, but now it's looking really bad. I'm just going to go without it, and I'll pick up the screws to talk about them. Let's see. All right, so we got 29 folks here. You guys hear me okay? Yes. Okay, so the live was to talk about these guys. So I'll just keep flipping the monitor when I want to refer to them. Screws with a slot only when you want there to be one. Assuming everyone knows that. Kyle S., I believe that you are the second member of the channel. I haven't advertised that very much at all, so it's not that easy of a thing to find. So thank you for signing up. The member benefits are decent but evolving. So if you have any ideas, you are someone that gets first priority, or maybe second priority, because one person did join before you. But let's say increased priority in suggestions and attention and all those good things. So thank you for supporting the channel. My vote is for Phantom fasteners. So the Phantom thing, or the ghost screws, ghost bolts, that's been a pretty popular one. I think it's all right. Picking a name is really hard. I posted a video on TikTok, and I'm getting lots and lots of comments there. It's really circulating quite a bit. So it seems like I'm not seeing a lot of novelty. It seems like human beings, the same set of several dozen ideas pop into their heads, and then they go to share them. The problem I'm having is that I want a snappy name, a clever way to get across that this is a screw with a slot that only appears when you depress a plunger. But I don't want something that sounds cheesy, because the best, I think the most important customer are small boutique furniture makers who do somewhere between 50 and a couple hundred pieces a year, and charge a very high price for them, so that the price point of the screws doesn't become an issue for them. They just say, yes, that's absolutely right for what I do, and I'm going to do some designs around it. And having a kind of cheeky, silly name like Pika Screw or Pika Bolt, play on Peekaboo, which I think is clever, it probably isn't perfect. Are you looking for a name beyond a marketing point of view? My first answer is no. Well, marketing and sales is obviously important. You don't get to have a product if it doesn't sell. And the name is very much the face of the product to the world, and how it's presented. So it's pretty important in that respect. I see some comments I need to catch up on. But I don't want to do something. It could be that there's a name that's fantastic from a marketing and sales point of view that I dislike for some other reason. Although, even saying it, like, if it's perfect from a marketing and sales point of view, why wouldn't I like it? What could be? It's just inaccurate. That'd be bad. But if it's an inaccurate name, probably wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe marketing and sales is all that matters. Kyle, hidden drive screw. Hidden drive screw is very much just like the descriptive name that just comes to my mind. Hidden slot screw is what I've been calling it, like I said in the video. That feels a little too descriptive and boring. Now, so I know I'm asking for a lot with the name, and at some point I might just have to to settle for the name I can get, and not the absolute name of my dreams. Might may get to that point, but right now I'm being real choosy. Klein, yeah, the Klein screw thing. Hang on, I'm gonna read through comments. I won't be able to answer all of these, of course. The quantum screw thing, yeah, Schrodinger screw. That's been one, not one of the more popular ones, but it has been suggested a few times. Some way to cleverly reference a superposition of states from quantum mechanics would be interesting. It just seems like everything that's been thrown out has been either kind of long and clunky, or like Q screw. Everyone's going to ask why it's the Q screw. Well, because of quantum mechanics. I don't get it. Well, there's a superposition of states and things can be two things at once. It's like, you don't want to get into explanation every time. You want it just to be understandable right away. Screwy McScrewface. Yes. Anytime you ask for a name, everybody wants to reference Bodie McBoatface. Yep. That happens. Okay. And that's okay. I still enjoy your comment. Don't worry. Let's see. What else? Elite Screwball. Socket cap. So somebody brought up, I guess, and I haven't verified this, so big asterisks. I'm just kind of repeating what several people have said. Apparently, Mr. Phillips, who came up with the Phillips screwdriver design, didn't want to name it after himself. He wanted to name it after something descriptive about the screw, like a crosshead screw or something. And the world just kept calling it Phillips head screw after him, so it got named after him anyway. Anyone know if that's true or not? Let's pause there and see if I'm just repeating some kind of urban myth without doing the research. Did it really play out like that with Mr. Phillips and his design? My brainstorm was based on the idea that most screws are named for the driver. And my first idea, but left about 15 in the comments, was tri-lobe screw. So names with some kind of tri or boomerang or something referencing the shape of the slot, and like you said, the shape of the driver, of course, because the driver has to be the same size, the same shape. I've kind of been steering away from those, although they've been quite popular. So you're the wisdom of the crowd. You're definitely not in the wrong. I've been steering away from those because I think everyone would agree that the most interesting aspect of the screw is the disappearing slot, and not necessarily the shape. In fact, this is an earlier prototype. It's not hidden as well, so you can see that it's just a single slot. It could probably have the same wow factor and just be a single slot. I just thought that the tri-wing was more interesting, so I went with that. So I've been steering away from those names just because they're not getting at what I see to be most interesting about the screw. But I think everything's on the table just because I'm not having the videos have circulated quite a bit and lots of ideas have been thrown out, and I'm not falling in love with anything. So I'm probably not too far from the need to think about compromising period of time. Cordial greetings from Italy. Hello. And Giovanni, thank you for so consistently following along and commenting on the videos and being a part of the audience. That has not gone unnoticed. And that's something I'm not so great about, always realizing that I'm talking to someone who's been supporting me for a while, but you comment so much and always have good things to say. So thank you. Honestly, I would use that for a custom motorcycle gas cap. So the bicycle and vehicle and motorcycle industries have definitely been speaking up. And I think that this hair is getting ridiculous. And I think that some outreach in those directions, maybe starting with a few smaller custom shops, would be a good idea. All right, Eric Nestler, maybe more of a hidden lock that actuates lock bars beneath the hidden compartment, not necessarily a fastener. You could certainly do that. You could, yeah, you could find a way to. Well, it'd be pretty easy if you wanted to do that. What you could do is drill halfway through on the inside, maybe on two sides, and just have let's see, little pins. So after you screw it into something, you come back in and drive the pins in to just solidly fix it into wood. So now the whole thing just becomes a larger mechanism. And you're right. That way, if you have a hidden compartment on a piece of furniture, buying just one of these is a whole lot more tenable than four of them. Although I don't think it's that bad. In the YouTube video, I made a big deal about price. And I did that on purpose because if I know I know what I'd get if I was just rah positive about this, and I show the slot doing its thing, and yeah, everybody loves it, and it's gonna be awesome. I never talk about price at all. I don't think I would get many comments about price, but since I came with such a hesitant voice about price, and I don't know if it's going to sell, and really, quite frankly, may exaggerate. And those are real concerns that I have, but I kind of exaggerated for them for the video. I got the opposite. I wanted to see if a lot of people would still follow the treasure hunt, still be positive about it, still say we need to have that, even though I'm doing what I know to not be a great sales technique and saying, I don't know, it's maybe a little expensive. And so I got that. And on Instagram and TikTok, sure enough, I did videos where I didn't express concern about price, and then you just get like a bunch of positivity. But that doesn't necessarily tell you as much. So little bit of the sneakiness on my part. Aren't I so clever? Let's see. Pricing will be tough. An important point. Well, worth serious thought. Pricing is important, and it can be a barrier, and it is certainly worth serious thought. None of what I just said changes that. That's definitely the case. Discovery fastener, because someone would need to discover how it works. Discovery fastener. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to test something like that. Does that convey what we're trying to do and give people the idea that there's something secret, something hidden, something to be discovered? I don't know. How would it work outside? Would the insert and the main body rust at a different rate and you get stuck? I would not recommend it for outdoor furniture. Outdoor is very punishing. It is magnetic stainless, but the series of stainless that are magnetic are not quite as corrosion resistant as stainless steels that aren't magnetic, that you're more familiar with. I believe it's fine and adequate for indoor furniture, and the reason they're magnetic is so that the magnets can hold the driver in place. Part of the appeal here is that it's a cool experience to put the furniture together, and if the spring on the plunger on the inside of here is constantly pushing off the driver when you're trying to use this to try to get it installed, I don't think that's a very great experience. And since it has to be an entirely flat head, I can't see. You'd have to make some kind of, this key that fits in would have to go in, then you'd have to do some secondary thing to expand it and grab the screw from the inside to hold it. That's it's a lot of screwing around. That's solved by the magnet. Okay, so Mr. Kyle, Mr. number 2 subscriber to the channel. Let's see, good way to get some free publicity if they get pissy about it. can close. Oh, I need to go back through. Discovery Channel will be thrilled. Right, Discovery Screw. Yeah, nothing like a little bit of litigation from a company to get visibility. I think I'd like visibility in a different way. Easier terms. Pica bolt is definitely my favorite. Pica bolt, when I think Pica screw was suggested first, or I saw it first. And when I read that, I was like, oh, that's pretty clever. Peekaboo is very, very close to the delight that a child gets out of peekaboo is very close to what an adult gets from seeing the metal slot appear. I thought that's awfully good. I still like it. I think my concern with Pica bolt, and Pica bolt probably is a little bit better than Pica screw, is that it's just still a little bit too cutesy for those serious furniture customers. But maybe not. Maybe I'm too worried about that, and they think Pica bolt is not that problematic. And you could play around with the spelling and hide it a little bit, like what I'm typing in the comments. I spelled bolt right. So if you did that, that's still pronounced exactly the same, but it's a little bit hidden. And PYCA, Pica, is in and of itself not childish or corny. So that's, if I had to pick a favorite right now, that would be what it is. That would be my favorite. Izzy Swan, you're beating yourself up on a bit of name, and everyone is going to call the inclined fastener. What you want to name it. So, Izzy, I've been told that that's what happened to Mr. Phillips, that he didn't want to name the screw. He wanted to name it cross screw or something descriptive, and everyone just named it after him anyway. And he should have gone that direction from the beginning. Is that true, or am I repeating an urban legend? Thanks for being here, man. Let's see. Pica bolt. Yes, PEECA bolt. That would I would love to come up with something so clever that people don't call it the Klein fastener. He wants to call it crosshead fastener. Okay, so this is right. His intention was to call it crosshead fastener, but everyone is like, no, it's a Phillips screw. I've already got the Klein bottle, so Klein stopper. I do have a level of concern about the tool brand, the very well-established tool brand, Klein Tools. Trademark infringement is weird, and if they get snippy about it and make a case, even if ultimately they would lose, that could be a real pain in the ass thing to deal with. So I do have a level of concern about that. Using my name, using your, just because it's my name, that it's been well established in court that just because you're using your name, it doesn't matter if it infringes or if you're giving the impression that what you're doing is done by this other company that has the trademark, you can get in trouble. So that is a hesitation with just using the name. Next big project, nice Andrew O. When you go hairdresser, take care. I think that's complimentary about my long hair. That's how I'm going to interpret it. So thank you. Cloak screw. That's not bad. Cloak screw. Let's see. What else you guys want to talk about? Fit bolt. Woodcraft by Suman. You just posted your awesome Purple Heart workbench build with my Vice on it, right? I hope so. I think I'm getting that right. Woodcraft by Suman. I hope I'm pronouncing that right too. Lots of hopes. Hope this is all going the way it should. Disambiguation. I think disambiguation means like you could call it, like calling it Klein bolt and matching the font of Klein Tools and the color and et cetera, et cetera. Now there's a lot more risk than if you do the opposite and try to differentiate it as much as you can. And that's probably true. I'm not a lawyer. I haven't really talked to lawyers very much about those kind of trademark concerns, but I think that probably would go a long way to reducing the risk. how you put together those brand materials. Cloak screw suggestion from above was pretty good. Gets my vote. Yeah, it's not bad. Invisibolt has been suggested by a number of people, and I think is pretty strong. It's a little when it gets brought up, the naysayers say no, it's not classy enough. It's too made for TV in quotes. Excuse me. I'm used to talking so much. But I like Invisibolt. It rolls off the tongue. It does what it says. Could then call it tool, dagger, key. All right. So I think maybe enough on names. Is there anything else you guys want to know about? It is not easy to scratch the tool with the driver or the screw with the driver. It's probably hard to see, but see that there's a little bit of space between the contact section of the driver and this face that touches the screw. And what that does is prevents the driver from touching the screw on the edges where the seam is being created, because that is a bit more fragile, we'll say it that way. So because obviously when they're together you can't see anything, but imagine that driver section inside here in that space, and the engagement happening internally and not on that lip. Because that happens, you're much less likely to damage it. And the fact that all the contact surfaces are brass, except on this prototype, I wanted them to recess the magnets just a tiny bit. They didn't do that. So the magnets actually do make tiny little marks, but I'll get that fixed in production. You can kind of see them. It's not that big a deal, but it's a little thing. Because of that, I've been using the magnet driver on these screws for quite a while, fiddling with them, playing with them. You know, they're halfway fidget toy anyway, and they're still in really good shape. Okay, so what else do we want to know? I'm going to skip over the name stuff for now. Will it be a single size or multiple size? I'm going to launch it. So when you're launching a tool, it's really expensive. You're building up inventory, the design, everything is expensive. So I really want to focus on a minimum viable set of screws and accessories that I could launch to get it started. You can always add more. You can add lots of different variations, size being only one of them. If it's successful, I'll do all of that, but incrementally, with the most important ones coming out sooner than other ones. So let's see, reading down the list. Metric or SAE? The threads are SAE. The threads are SAE. The taps are easier for people to get. Can I get into the diameter of the head is metric, and I am going to sell the Forstner bit to get a hole that's just a couple thou larger than this, so it fits in, but there aren't any gaps. Phone died. What did I miss? We kind of wrapped up the name thing, and I'm opening it up to other questions. Mr. Swan, any projects you've used it on? I haven't used it on any projects yet. This is real. This is early days. I've got a few designs in mind. This was just kind of testing the waters, getting it out there, seeing what I can try to call it before everyone just calls it the Klein screw anyway. Apparently, that's where folks think it's going. Wouldn't a regular screw with a recessed pocket and glued disc achieve the same thing for a lot less cost? Okay, I'm only going to say this once. Nobody's going to get jazzed about that idea. It's not exciting. It wouldn't have created the almost 2 million views between platforms that this one has created. It is hard to take apart. If you end up with a totally reset, I know people are going to say you could use magnets or whatever. If wood shrinks a little bit and there's some resistance trying to get that disc out, you're never going to get it out. No one's going to be excited about seeing it and want to put furniture together that has it. No one's going to say, I want that on my desk as a fidget toy. Anyway, I don't care what it does. You're not going to get any of that. So it does the same thing kind of in a less elegant, less reliable way, in a way that doesn't get anyone excited. I'm certainly not excited to have that product. There's stuff like that out there. If all you want is to have that look in a much less interesting way, you can do it. So that's why I can make a case that the price point can make sense on these. That's still up for debate, but that's where I am right now. Let's see. Other questions. Andy, if you do Forstner bit, will you make it auto depth cutting? No, you'd have to rely on the maybe. If it's just one size, maybe I would have, all you'd have to do is machine a disc to go around the shaft of the bit. It'd be an easy thing to make. I might do, okay, so this plan change on the fly. That might be one more reasonable accessory to make is a collar for that specific size of Forstner bit. If you're not sure that your drill press is going to be reliable enough, because it needs to be pretty precise, or you want to drill it by hand or something, might not be the worst idea. Thank you. Let's see. Take some vitamin C. Do I look vitamin C deficient? I'm not. Let's see. You reach out to Four Eyes guys to see if they can use it in one of their designs. I haven't reached out to anyone like that. I think this video will reach a lot of people. And so a lot of interesting folks already have been coming to me. But some specific outreach to people like Four Eyes, they're perfect candidates. Probably makes sense. Maybe think of different inserts and mechanical uses. I think the audience will come up with more than I can ever come up with, and I'm going to be working to come up with stuff. If it catches on even a little bit, just enough to launch and get it going. One of the things I love about this project, probably my favorite thing about this project, is that for a long time, it can push me towards designing and building furniture, which is why I started doing any of this. And I like the tools and the inventions too, and that's great. And the world has pushed me that direction. But doing both at the same, like this really checks both boxes in a way that I just really like. So if this goes well, I can be coming up with interesting stuff that this can do, building those projects for quite a long time. So let's see. How long did it take you from idea to prototype? Probably had this idea. No, Izzy Swan knows better than me. I think I told Izzy about it within the first week of having the idea. Izzy, when did we first talk about this? 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something in that ballpark. How many units do you have to order for a viable first batch? 500. I'd probably get away with a bit less. 500 screws would do it. That'd be enough to kick it off. 2,500, and I'm really getting to some nice scale economies. 10,000, even nicer scale economies. Is it possible to make it even more invisible? So probably there's a diminishing return. It's very nearly invisible now. It's if you get close to it, you can see it. But it's not easy to see. People, if I put them in front of people, even in person, without saying what they were, and they didn't spot them. So unless you're looking very hard and have pretty good eyesight, you don't see it. The cost to go from that to truly invisible, even people with good eyes trying as hard as they can't see it. Like you're talking about maybe certainly twice as expensive, probably more like 4 or 5 times as expensive. I haven't really priced it out. Um, Partly because I don't think the machine shop that I'm using, which is quite good, I mean, really good. You probably would have to change processes and go to wire EDM instead of machining, which is bonkers expensive. So I don't think it's worth it. This is a winner, Andy. Get this in front of designers, and it will be a hit. Thanks, Izzy. I hope so. I'm excited about it. Let's see. I'm going to skip over the name thing for now. As people are really jazzed up about picking a name. That's great. I love the help. But it gets a little repetitive just talking about it. Have you done tests to see if it stays mostly invisible after lots of uses? I've played with these quite a bit. I've probably like hundreds of times. And they haven't deteriorated at all. And I think that's sufficient to say that if what you're going to do with this, you use very occasionally a secret. I mean, you don't get into a secret compartment every day. That's a rare thing. You don't break down furniture and move it every day, or assemble it from flat pack or whatever it is. I think for those kind of volumes of use, it stays crisp with crisp and visible edges, and that's enough of a claim. If you use it 100 times a day in a year, is it still going to be so good? Probably not. And I think I'll just be upfront about that because I don't think that's the way people are going to typically be using it. Let's see. What else we got? Could it be used for machinery where flow resistance is a problem? I don't think that would probably be a very good idea. Is this back to the vehicle gas cap concept? I don't. If you had pressurized fluid behind here, would it keep a seal? I wouldn't be guaranteeing that. I'm gonna say I'm not guaranteeing that, which really means no. All right. Let's see what else we got. I second. I'm not talking about name stuff. Love to see a desktop with these as hold downs. I think that desks and tables are a really strong candidate. What is the first piece of furniture you're planning to build? I don't know. I don't have one planned yet. The entertainment center that I had in the video was something that I proposed building for my house. So something like that maybe would be first. But I don't feel like I have the first project that it's in. The first use case I think needs to be really strong. I can think of several things that would be good, but I want it to be really strong when you show it used for the first time. Have you thought about making a thread tap that big? I will absolutely make a thread tap for wood that big. It is also not an uncommon size. So for $40, you can buy like a metal tapping one from McMaster-Carr. If you have a furniture shop and you just want to make a lot of them and you want to minimize or do something different than the nut that I'm going to sell, it would be an easy thing to make. There's definitely the fidget toy hidden locking aspect that will sell these. Otherwise, the socket head, yeah, that's what's going to sell these. Just the cool fact. People love watching those videos. When I see people as excited about watching the wire EDM videos where two pieces of metal come together and there's no function at all, and I read through thousands of comments of people just jazzed about it. If you make that same thing functional and you can own it and it does something at all for you, it's going to be a popular thing. Might be a good thing to use for hidden compartment on a desk or TV cabinet. Definitely. Any possibility for a quarter turn latch? A quarter turn latch. What's a quarter? How do you mean a quarter turn latch? I'm not talking because I'm reading. Missed the first part of the live. What are the threads per inch? And will there be a tab to coincide? There will be a tab to coincide. There'll also be a nut to coincide. The inch and a quarter, 8 tooth per inch, standard SAE. You can go buy a thread tap from McMaster-Carr right now for it. All right. Well, I think that's about it. I got to get some water. My throat's like scratchy, so that's not going to be so entertaining to listen to me cough. So I think this has run its course. Let's see. I guess I will say I do have a membership option for my channel, and one of the first two gentlemen to support me there, he has some questions, and I definitely made sure that I prioritized answering. I'll do that in the future. There's some perks now. There'll be more in the future, so go check that out if you want to support me in what I do. There's lots of other ways to support. I see Izzy's writing a comment. Let's see, just thinking about design possibilities, designing entire furniture line in the easy to move space, saving industry has real marketing potential. Yeah, I think so too. Izzy, you think that the price point would be a barrier there? Space saving and really high end. I mean, I guess they're not that expensive. You could have a nice piece of furniture that's, $1,500 is not to the crazy boutique level, and that'd be enough to cover the price, especially if you can get it down to 2 fasteners instead of 4. Man, throat. Having problems. Do you have Patreon? That is my preferred way. I haven't done Patreon. YouTube seemed, I always thought about doing Patreon, then YouTube did their integrated method, and that seemed like a better way. Why do you like Patreon better than just directly through YouTube? When I support people directly through YouTube, I end up getting the perks more because I never actually go to Patreon. Maybe some people are more diligent about doing that, but I'm on YouTube and they pop the benefits up and whatever. Just seem to make more sense. Doug Mockett makes these, doesn't he? If he does, he better say something because I'm going forward. I think that's it. Thanks for being here, everyone, and for all the ideas and support and all that. It means the world. I will catch you next time.